Honorable former Governor of Sikkim. I request Honorable former Governor of Mizoram, Mr. Amalakajoli. I request Mr. S. Dalvi Singh. I request Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy, former Election Commissioner of India. I request Dr. Ajit Nagpal from Amity University, Chairman and Director General of Amity Middle East India and Chairman of the Amity Pacific Forum, and Mr. Neeraj Jain, NRI, as well, to kindly light up beautiful traditional language. Of course, Mr. Gurinder Singh, who is our Secretary General of the NRI Welfare Society of India, is also lighting up beautiful traditional language. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause as the 33rd International Congress of NRIs has just been inaugurated with the first diya being lit by Dr. Krishna Singh. And the second diya has been lit by Honorable Mr. Amulya Ratnakoli, Honorable former Governor of Mizoram. Let's keep the applause going. It is now being lit by Honorable former Governor of Sikkim, by Mr. S. Dalvi Singh, the Secretary of the AICC, who made a big time to join us. Also Secretary of the AICC is lighting up the lamp. Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy, Dr. Ajit Nagpal, and Mr. Neeraj Jain, NRI from Mr. Neeraj Jain, NRI from Hong Kong, here, please. Kindly just light up Ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise for the national anthem and we will all sing it together. Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Namaskar, good morning and swagatam. Distinguished dignitaries on the stage, our very respected NRI members. Distinguished dignitaries on the stage, our very respected NRI members, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege on behalf of the NRI Welfare Society of India to warmly welcoming all of you to the 33rd International Congress of NRIs with the theme Building the Economic Corridor. I'll just say a few words about the NRI Welfare Society of India, for those who don't know much about it. It was formed in 1985 with the noble objective of strengthening the emotional bonds between India and NRIs. India is proud of the Indians living abroad, those who are keeping the flag of the country high in whichever sphere they are. If India will be strong economically and socially, Indians living abroad will be honored and respected. The non-resident Indians sprawling throughout the world strongly desire to see their motherland prosper, and the common man should have better resources for bringing up his family. With this aim, thousands and thousands of NRIs have shown their readiness to make an investment in India. They have ample financial resources which they wish to devote to the overall development and the progress of India. Despite their repeated pleadings, the NRIs have not been successful of their intent. The reason is obvious bureaucratic bottlenecks and the vexing and complicated rules and regulations governing investments by non-resident Indians. The NRI's gesture surprisingly has not been appreciated in responsible official circles, and all kinds of hurdles are being placed in their way. Our society's main objective is to facilitate the entry of NRI money to be pumped into Indian industry, agriculture, and core areas. With a strong economy, we can face the foreign competition much better and with greater assurance. We would therefore urge the authority to welcome any suggestions for investment by non-resident Indians who would only be too happy to come to the assistance of their motherland. They say they take special pride and delight in serving India in their own inimitable fashion. The non-resident Indians have become successful, whether it is in business or professional achievement. There are examples galore that many of them could not find openings in India to their satisfaction. The Indian systems foster bureaucracy than brilliance, and the business environment facilitate anything but enterprise, usually are the common refrains. Having said that, the time has come to recognize the NRI community as potentially India's valuable resource base. Overseas Chinese have made considerable contribution to their motherland's coffers. However, to influence NRIs to make investment in India on the basis of sheer sentiments that they love India would be short-sighted, if not self-defeating. A lasting relationship can only be built on a mutually beneficial system. The procedure for investment by NRIs and PIOs in Indian companies has been simplified. RBI has granted general permission under FERA in respect of the 100% scheme that Indian companies will no longer require the permission of RBI for the purpose of receiving inward remittance and issue of shares to their NRI PIO investors. However, they'll have to file the required documents with the concerned regional office of RBI within 30 days after the issue of shares to them. Further, the NRIs and PIOs have been allowed to invest in unlisted companies under the Portfolio Investment Scheme, and the norms for flow of NRI funds in the health sector have been eased. NRIs are potential investors in India, and a few years back, when India was facing economic crisis, India could recover only because of the help and assistance of NRIs. Though there is a mixed reaction about government's policies towards NRIs, NRIs all over the world invest in India to overcome the economic crisis. They are living in various parts of the world. Over 25 million were very much perturbed and disturbed about the ongoing political situation in the country, and at this juncture it is the primary duty of the society to build confidence amongst the non-resident Indians that the country is stable or united to run the government. It is immaterial because in a democracy it is the people and those who matter, and not the leaders, because people are the makers of the leaders. The reforms introduced by Dr. Manmohan Singh has given new inputs to the country's economic position. Today, multinationals are coming to invest in India, and in the past 5 years, our reserves have gone manifold. Thrust for foreign goods has almost vanished, and we are making and manufacturing all the goods in collaboration with foreign countries with foreign brand names. We have all the foreign name TVs available in the Indian markets in plenty, and the NRI Welfare Society of India is a pioneer organization of non-resident Indians which is fighting for the just causes of NRIs and knocking the doors of government off and for the redressal of their grievances. Ladies and gentlemen, this society would not be here, and all of us would not be present here if not for the founder of the NRI Welfare Society, a man that I have worked for many, many years now, nearly 25, 26 years, but unfortunately he is no more. The irreparable loss of Sardar late Harbhajan Singh. Mind does not believe and trust that Sri Harbhajan Singh, the highly spirited, full of enthusiasm and energetic, always attired in white, dressed briskly moving from one point to another, is no more amongst the NRI fraternity, his readers and admirers and well-wishers. His untimely demise abound for all those who knew him. He was a star with unlightened hundreds with his wisdom, and he is found missing today. A multifaceted personality, he was a social worker, an educationist, literary figure, he was a journalist, and in a nutshell, he was a dynamic person, and with his multiple dimensional traits and activities, he was a genius par excellence. Patriotism and honesty was in his veins. He was far above narrow thinking, never knew hatred, jealousy, or enmity. In fact, he doned his goodwill whoever came in his fold. Sri Harbhajan Singh realized the problems of non-resident Indians and established NRI Welfare Society of India, which has strongly grown into an effective body in 25 years. The annual conference of NRIs is held every year from the 25th to the 28th of January. His constant persuasion has been fruitful, and the central government has granted overseas citizenships from India card to NRIs and also made sufficient legislation and laws protecting the rights and interests of non-resident Indians. To give wider acclaim to society, held these conferences in UK, United States of America, Dubai, and Bangkok. During these conferences, one could sense the joy and the happiness of delegates, attracting them to invest liberally and retain social and emotional ties with India, the land of their origin. A tremendous task he carried on his shoulders. His speeches during any conferences always allured the delegates to embrace their motherland. The amount of work he did for the betterment of NRIs will go deep in the annals and the history of India. And of course, he's survived by his two sons, Shri Gurinder Singh and Shri Deepak Singh, and I'm sure they're going to carry his wonderful flag forward and pay tribute to Shri Harbhajan Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and indeed an honor in requesting Shri Gurinder Singh, the Secretary General of the NRI Welfare Society of India, Member Press Council of India, Chief Editor of the Indian Observer, and President of the All India Small and Medium Newspaper Federation, to kindly give his welcome address to the distinguished audience.
Dr. Jaipur Singh, former Governor, Dr. G.V. Krishnamurthy, former Election Commissioner, Shri Amolak Ratan Kohli, former Governor of Mizoram, Shri Neeti Singh, former Governor of Sikkim, Shri Dalbir Singh, Secretary AICC, Shri Ved Prakash, Secretary AICC, Dr. Ajit Nagpal, Chairman of Board of Directors of Amity. My dear ladies and gentlemen, I extend a warm welcome to you all who have come from various parts of the world to be a part of this Congress in the land of your ancestors. I feel deeply honored to address such a distinguished and accomplished audience. I feel truly proud that in this hall we have today the whole world represented. This gathering, ladies and gentlemen, truly symbolizes the ancient Indian learning of Vasudevaya Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. We are one family, the whole world is our home. That is why I have always said that while the sun has set on all the great empires of the world, the sun will never set on the great Indian diaspora. We are over 1 billion Indians and over 2 million overseas Indians living in 110 different countries. This International Congress is a celebration of the global Indian. It is also the celebration of the homecoming of the global Indian. Over the ages, the relationship between Pravasi and Bharat has taken many forms. One of its most glorious manifestations has been their contribution to India's independence movement. Nearly 100 years ago, almost to this day, Mahatma Gandhi returned to lead a nation march of freedom. Post-independence, overseas Indians have served as a bridge of friendship and cooperation between India and their adopted homes abroad. Regardless of whether they are successful professionals, traders and entrepreneurs, or second-generation Indians, comfortably reconciling their two identities, or working, toiling hard to build a future for their families, they are at all times a most effective window for the world to India's heritage and its progress. To set the record straight, NRI Welfare Society, being a pioneer one, has been fighting for your just causes for the last nearly couple of decades, when none in the country thought for or cared for the non-resident Indians. Thanks to the visionary Sardar Harbhajan Singh Ji, my illustrious father, who started the society long back, that has come to stage as a leader. The NRI Welfare Society has organized several successful symposia and conferences on specific issues from time to time at the national and international level. The best part being our joint efforts bearing fruit, with the result the Government of India creating an altogether new ministry, that of Ministry of Overseas Indians, now being headed by Veteran Honorable Vaidavakar. With the millions of Indian origin living outside India, a new global community has emerged. Most people of Indian origin have been exceedingly successful in a range of businesses and professions. For the global Indian, the future is very bright. He is the future architect of the globalization village called the Earth. We in India speak different languages and follow different faiths, but Indian culture has a tradition of assimilating and accommodating diverse traditions, customs, and beliefs. That is what makes Indian society, Indian civilization endure and flourish. If their professional expertise and financial resources could be pooled, the historic project of globalization will become complete in the truest sense when more and more of our brothers join this mainstream as important investing partners to our globalization process. Ours is not just a 5-day annual event, but an opportunity of a lifetime to invest in a vibrant country, your own motherland, which has stood the test of time, all the more so at a time when one sees a worldwide meltdown. The global Indians have brought about a revolution. Indians have done wonders overseas in almost all professions. This globalization would not have been possible without the global Indian reaching out to people of different culture, religion, languages all across the world. India is today one of the top investment destinations. Economic opportunities are expanding everywhere. The overall trend for India is very positive. Despite the crisis in major developed economies, remittance flow to India is increasing, the highest for any country from its diaspora in 2013. I know that many of you have questions about the future of the Indian economy and concerns about social challenges, the shape of our polity, and the issues of governance in our country. There is a perception in some quarters outside India that the country is losing its momentum of the past decade. This is also amplified by the political contestations here in India, which are inevitably louder in the election season that is now on the horizon. I wish to assure you that there is no reason to despair about our present or worry about our future. We are heading into better times, and I would urge you to remain engaged in the future of this country with confidence and optimism. India is changing in a way that is significant, but not always evident to those who do not see the big picture. Over the past 10 years, our communication networks have expanded exponentially, and much of our rural area will be connected by broadband in the very near future. About 1,000 institutions of higher education are today part of the high-speed national knowledge. Telephony is now within the reach of everyone. The education sector has been radically reformed. At the primary level, nearly every child in India is going to school today. The National Skills Development Authority is working with other stakeholders, including those from the private sector, to train 50 million people for the workforce during the next 5 years. We have added over 70,000 kilometers of highways and more than 200,000 kilometers of new roads in rural areas. Our power generation capacity is expanding rapidly, aided by initiatives in solar, wind and nuclear energy, to give ourselves a more sustainable energy in the future. Today's economic growth has not only accelerated, it has also become socially more inclusive and regionally more balanced. Our poverty levels are declining at faster rates. Economically weaker states are growing at faster rates. Agriculture growth has accelerated. With the efforts of all of us, India has emerged in the front of the world economy. It is not only the efforts of the industrious people residing in this country, but also the support and dedication of all of you, India's sons and daughters, that has enabled us to grow faster. India is poised today to play a key role in this world. It promotes spirit of coexistence and accommodation. India is also one of the engines of growth for the world economy. We are aware that despite impressive economic performance and change on an enormous scale in the past 2 decades, India faces persisting challenges of poverty, equity, sustainability, and opportunity. Vulnerable sections of society, including our women, face enduring prejudices and continuing problems in a rapidly changing India. However, across India, there are countless inspirational stories of innovation, enterprise, and leadership by citizens and communities that are transforming lives and generating hopes for millions of our citizens. There is a new surge of expectation from an increasingly empowered and articulate public for more responsive, transparent, participative, clean, and efficient governance. Government is also determined to turn any setbacks into an opportunity to improve legal and regulatory frameworks. I have no doubt that the energy and the passions of our citizens, particularly our youth, will be a force of positive change in our country. The overseas Indian community should be a vital partner and a participant in India's social and economic growth. Whether you wish to invest or share your knowledge, technology, and skills, whether your enterprise takes you to the cities or your compassion brings you to the remotest of the villages, we assure you of continued effort to support your endeavors. In conclusion, let me assure you that as India continues to grow, as our external engagement increases, as we assume higher international responsibilities, NRIs will continue to remain close to our hearts as partners in our national efforts and as vital links to the world outside. I wish all of you every success in your life and future endeavors. India looks upon you with affection, pride, satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That was Dr. Ravinder Singh, the Secretary General of the NRI Welfare Society of India, giving us a most wonderful speech and giving us a speech full of promise and looking forward to where this country is going. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege and an honor in requesting His Excellency, the former Governor of Tamil Nadu and the Northeastern States, Dr. Vishwanarayan Singh. Of course, all of you would have known him if you've seen him. Those who don't, just a short introduction about him. He's one of the most distinguished human beings I have met. He's a distinguished statesman. And apart from being the former governor of Tamil Nadu and the Northeastern States, he was former cabinet minister in the late Mrs. Indira Gandhi's cabinet. And he is a person who's a Gandhian. He believes in simple living and high thinking. He's a person, I think, his agenda in a day is more visible than the Prime Minister, because he's doing so many things at the same time, traveling to so many countries, and also giving lectures and talks and seminars on television and foreign countries. He's comfortable at the Mercedes-Benz factory in Germany, as he is comfortable addressing the NRI Welfare Society of India in Delhi. He's comfortable looking after an NGO in Bihar, where he lives, to a very important international UN conference. So So ladies and gentlemen, I will not keep you between him and his address. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause as I invite His Excellency the Honorable
Kaveri ji, esteemed K.P. Singh ji, esteemed Kohli Sahab, we are all ex-governors, but don't think X means no work, X means more work. X means permanent. And Honorable Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy, he is also X. While speaking, he may mention about it because what he mentions, I am mentioning initially. That side, my friend Ranveer Singh ji, then that side also Dr. the chairman in Mechi ji, Pal Sahab. And even मेरा भाषण कभी-कभी हो जाता है. With Vikas ji, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would have actually made my observation extempo, but I have to introduce the subject also. So then it has to be a little bit written text. But quickly I will try to be brief because very eminent speakers are sitting on the top table. So first of all I must give you New Year's greeting. Very happy New Year. And then we are going to celebrate our Republic Day tomorrow. Most historic day, most important day for our country, for all of you. So for that also congratulations. And then I will also pay tribute to Sardar Harbhajan Singh ji. I would have mentioned more about him, but Gurinder ji has also made our task easy. So friends, really it is a matter for great pleasure for me to be part of this important function. It is written here. This is NRI Welfare Society of India. Harbhajan Singh ji's time that I have been participating in the functions of NRI Society of India, whether in India or abroad. And Gurinder ji is here, Deepak ji is here. They are also always taking care of us. And those who are a friend of Harbhajan Singh ji, they are not forgetting at all. There's very important and economically powerful economy in the world, and some of you may remember the India's independent struggle. I will not mention more because Gurinder has also mentioned this point that it was around 100 years struggle. Independence for us is very valuable because many of us on the top table, we are product of freedom struggle. We have seen those days when a needle was not produced in this country, and what to talk of other things. We are not self-sufficient even in food grains, though we were agriculturist country. Only 50 million tons of food grains were produced in those days. And when there was, at the time, near about, I think the exact year, maybe 45, 46, there was a famine in West Bengal. Lakhs of people died. That was our position. So far, food grains is not self-sufficient to feed our own people. And then industry, a needle was produced in London and it was brought here, needle. Because we have our own experience. My mother told me, for stitching the cloth, to bring a needle. So I had gone to the market and purchased that needle. When I read that, it was made in India. That was our position in agriculture, industry. Education, 8% people were only educated. at the time of independence. So all these things are there, but I will be brief, and so therefore I must go through the written text. Otherwise, you see, if I will speak extempore, it will take more time. I feel like that. Our people are working all over the world. You all are working all over our people. So our people are working all over the world, holding senior positions and contributing to their economic growth and development. Today, as I said, we manufacture everything today. We have made advances in almost every sphere of activities, launching our own satellites, having nuclear capabilities, launching our own satellites, having nuclear capabilities, more than 1 trillion economy, GDP growing about now I can say because it is around 6 o'clock, 6% sometimes. So I have mentioned here 6 to 8%. We have foreign exchange reserves, and what is the position of foreign reserves? It is over 310 billion US dollars. And what was in 1991? It was hardly $2 billion. So you can see from 1991 to 2014, we moved. Moderated from 16.8% in 1991 to merely around 6%. Although it is still high and the government is trying its best to moderate it further, our physical deficit is under control. While the banks almost all over the world faced crisis in 2008, Indian banks, you are in the business, you know that, not a single Indian bank. Indian banks almost all over, Indian banks did not have any problems. And here I would further more crisis than any. You know, in India became independent, I mentioned to you 8% education. There were only 26 universities in 1947. Today we have more than 600 universities, both private and government, over 100 institutions of national importance like AIMS, IICs, ITs, IITs, IIMs, etc. We also have over 20,000 colleges and institutions imparting education, conducting research. The people educated and trained in these institutions have made mark internationally, because most of the people have studied here and you all have made mark abroad. So it is really, you all have really make us proud of you. The people educated and trained in these institutions have made mark internationally in business, trade, professions of teaching, medical, management services, and software, etc. They brought pride for India. We are proud of all of you, and we are proud of them who are not attending this important function. The non-resident Indians and people of Indian origin have contributed tremendously to the financing and growth of India. India is a leading country as a recipient of the largest amount of NRI remittances for the last several years. And actually the fact is that our trade deficit, our trade deficit is largely financed through remittances. This is the truth. The amount of remittances sent by them clearly depicts their love for India and their motherland, their relations. I know hundreds of NRIs are interested to get their wards married to the people in India. They are interested to purchase land, build houses, enter into business ventures. The Honorable Prime Minister has announced last year. This year I will mention a few lines about him, but last year, that NRIs can vote in elections considering that is most important in a democratic country, in election considering their long pending demands. I feel proud of India's democratic values, culture, ethics and heritage. Irrespective of where they are settled, they are committed and pursue traditional values, moral and ethics. They made large investment ever since India opened its gates and started welcoming foreign direct investment and foreign investment in institutions. They have shown serious interest in India, its growth and development. Its social and political structure, many of them contributed towards donations to their alma maters. The chairman of the Amethi institutions, actually the main person behind Amethi is Ashok Chauhan ji. Actually he was non-Indian resident, he was in Germany. You can see the institution today is one of the best institutions in the country. Foreign investment. They have shown serious interest in India, its growth, development and social political structure. Many of them contributed towards donation to their alma maters. It is worth mentioning at this stage that China's investment pattern and growth has primarily been due to its own citizens settled abroad. But this I also very well know, because Chinese mostly are in business. Mostly. Everywhere in the world, including in India. If you will go to Chandni Chowk, you will get Chinese market here also in Delhi. So they were business. So naturally, they have, in their growth, they have enormously contributed. That we understand. But just to mention, why I am mentioning about it, to draw your attention that you have to do much more. Because of that I am mentioning that. China's investment pattern and growth has primarily settled abroad. Non-resident Chinese and persons of Chinese origin abroad have contributed most generously to bring China to its present state. NRIs and PI, they have to do more. Positive thing I will say. I will not say lag behind. Positive thing I will say, you have to do more. This is something which you need to introspect seriously. India deserves your attention. You have excelled, become wealthy and attained very high level of status in society by dint of your hard work, intelligence, creativity and capability to take risk. In the process, you have suffered emotionally, living away from your family, nears and dears, and your beloved nation. But I am sure you would appreciate India did make some contribution to your growth story also. It is not one's choice as to where one is born. It is, of course, one's choice that he may settle and live anywhere else in the world, because we believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It was mentioned by Kaveri ji also, I think, when she was making initial observations. It is, of course, one choice that he may settle and live anywhere else in the world, away from one's motherland. One owes and needs to repay to one's motherland also. But this is also very important. And we expect that our NRIs and PIOs will do that. I suggest you to come forward generously. in participating in the development of yours and your forefathers' motherland and your motherland also, I can say. Your motherland is calling you. Let us take pride in saying we are not second to none or to Chinese in this important activity. Let me make it clear that you may not lose money on this score. Because Gurinder ji mentioned about it, but I would like to make it clear. Our colleagues are sitting on the dais. Any government which will come in power, this policy will continue. Policy of liberalization will continue. It has deeply rooted in the society, and governments are committed. Even states governments are taking leading part. The other day I was in Pune. There was a big conference in Maharashtra, and the person behind that organization was the former President of India, Srimati Pratibha Singh Ji Patil. And I must tell you, because I met yesterday night many of our friends from America. I think you must be also feeling proud about it, that till today there is no women president in America. But what about India? You had women president in this country, and you should feel proud about that. We had the women prime minister of this country. You have a women, and not only that, you have a women speaker of Lok Sabha. See the change which is taking socially also in the country. You have several women chief ministers in the country. But Indira Gandhi, though I don't want to take Indira Gandhi, to not only Prime Minister of India. I mean, there was Kohli Sahab correctly reminded me, I was in her cabinet, but because I was not mentioning knowingly, because there was the BBC, they had made survey throughout the world. And in women prime ministers, top was Indira Gandhi, second was the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, second. So Indira Gandhi is the pride of this country. And in the country also, I must tell you, this is no question of party politics. Indian people want a strong prime minister like Indira Gandhi. That is the general psyche working in this country. That we need a strong prime minister. That is the reality. So anyway, I will not take much time. And but you have to also, I have to point out this because I belong to a farmer's family. Our farmers have shown great commitment in making India self-sufficient, but they use traditional techniques, hybrid seeds, appropriate fertilizers, soil testing, use of agricultural equipments, crop pattern to facilitate intensive cultivation is the need of the hour, and you can also contribute in the field of agriculture. The most states are interested in your participation, as I mentioned earlier, to improve their lot of farmers and also in agriculture. The slogan could be to feed the world, not only that nobody sleeps hungry in India, but nobody should remain hungry in the whole world. That should be our slogan. India and its people need not to believe in creating vast inequalities, because there is inequality in our country. We have to accept it, because our ethos, what is our ethos? Even a Daridra is Narayan. A poor man is called Narayan. Gandhi ji also taught us that whatever government, whatever policy should be in our country, whether somebody in any walk of life, or particularly the government, what benefits to the weakest person in the society, that should be the policy. That is Gandhian philosophy also. And as I mentioned to you, if Janardhan will remain hungry, then I think this will not work in India, because we are not materialistic society, we are a spiritual country. And you maintain that abroad, because I also visit abroad. Na? I can say you maintain more than us in abroad. I find like that in a road, spiritual part of it. I see everywhere. So we are a spiritual country. We have to see that this gap, this is bridged. It takes time, definitely. It is coming down, as was mentioned. Coming down, definitely. Government has also taken many steps. All parties are taking steps. All governments are taking steps. But huge population also, We are making any reformation in this country, whether economic or any reformation, it is through democratic system. It is not like China. So it can't be compared with China in that way. It's a democratic society, largest democracy of the world. So friends, really, I took a little bit more time, I feel like that, but just I will quote what the Prime Minister in this Pravasi Bharatiya conference, you might have attended that also, some of you, what he has said in the last. He has said, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister of India, while inaugurating the 12th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas this year, said, in the recent months, the government had taken a very wide range of decisions to accelerate implementation of mega infrastructure projects, reform tax administration, improve physical management, liberate FDIs, and rationalize the system for allocation and utilization of natural resources. He further said that we are heading into better times ahead. That is his last observation in this 12th Pravasi Bharatiya conference. With these words, I'm really obliged to all of you that you gave a patient hearing and I introduced this subject. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed. That was His Excellency Dr. Bhishma Narayan Singh addressing us and giving us a wonderful address. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege in requesting Honorable Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy, the former Election Commissioner of India, to kindly give his address. But before he does so, just a few words about him for those who have not had the privilege of knowing him or hearing him speak. Apart from Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy being the former Election Commissioner of India, he is a former bureaucrat, a former advocate. He has studied in the United Kingdom. He's a self-made man. We're very, very proud of him. His name has entered the who's who of the United States of America. During his time, I think the most number of elections were held, the most difficult of elections. I think he's known quite a few prime ministers personally during his tenure as the former Election Commissioner of India. He is one of the sought-after people for anchoring on television. He has to give his views, and most of the channels run after him to get his viewpoint. And more than anything else, he's a very special man for our society. Even when he's unwell, he comes to be here with us. Whether he's well, he's always here with us. But he's a person who makes time for people who have meaning to him and who give meaning to his life. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege in requesting Honorable Dr. G.V.G. Krishnamurthy, the former Election Commissioner of India, to kindly address the distinguished audience, please.
क्या बाबूजी हिंदी हिंदी चलेगा